What's going on, good people? I have just had a pretty dull day at work, but there's been one thing that has kept me going today. A brand new release out today, which I'm going to review, my first review in quite a while now, and it's the review of Ultra Mono by punk band Idols. Before we progress into the review, if you could please make sure you subscribe and follow me on Instagram too, @RipItUpMusic. So let's set the scene. Idols, this is now their, third studio album. There's a lot riding on this album because it was a lot of kind of news organisations and radio channels' album of the year when it came out. That album was called Joy as an Act of Resistance, and it was Mercury-nominated. Ultra Mono, I feel like there's been less hype around. Maybe because Idols have kind of already established themselves in the mainstream as probably the biggest kind of current punk band, at least in the UK anyway. So Ultra Mono didn't really know what to expect. They released a few singles beforehand. We had Grounds, which is a great anthem. It's going to be huge when they get to play like big gigs again. I think they're doing a few nights at O2 Academy Brixton, which is kind of too small for them, but they're doing several nights in a row and they're selling them all out, and it's going to be epic. We also saw a few other tracks released before as well. Mr. Motivator, it kind of reminded me of their debut album Brutalism, kind of the pop cult references that they make. We don't necessarily see so much in the rest of their songs anymore. But this song, there's a line about Delia Smith and Chardonnay, which I really liked. That's just what I noted down. But yeah, like Mr. Motivator as well. Then there was a hymn as well. It was kind of grungy and more docile. Felt a bit drowsy, but I'm using that adjective in a good sense. My favourite track of the album was a track called Model Village, which was actually a pre-release track as well. I just thought it was hilarious. It was funny. The lyrics in it, they kind of talk about what a stereotypical model village in the UK is. Not an actual model village. We're not talking about Beck and Scott here. I think it just talked about them being. It kind of highlighted the worst parts of British culture, like homophobia and racism and empty patriotism, and kind of saying that's what a lot of people are like in this country, which is a shame, and Idols aren't the only ones to point that out, but good to have a song about it, I think. I think the most important track on this album is a song called Tush Pamwa, which means don't touch me in French. It actually features a French singer-songwriter and frontwoman of band Savages, Jenny Beth, who I believe is also supporting them on their tour as well. She contributes lyrically and with vocals on this track, and the Tush Pamwa is a powerful ode to women, in particular at gigs, and kind of promoting a better environment at gigs free of sexual assault and sexual harassment and catcalling and all of those things that they call out in this song. The word consent is repeated like a mantra because also it's like obvious. You just shouldn't. No woman should be faced with a situation where she's touched without her consent at a concert. And that's what I love about Idols, but also the Idols AF community, which is a huge Facebook group, like thousands and thousands of members, always really supportive, always promoting kind of a safe space at gigs. I think Idols really spearhead that, and it's great to see the fans of Idols as well being so kind of aware of the problems that happen at gigs, because a lot of people just ignore it. There's also a few other great tracks on here as well. I really like War, which sets up the album. It's kind of like a battlefield opener, heavy drums, going back to their raucous roots, and not shying away from kind of their mental guitar playing that we've kind of grown accustomed to with Idols. Only really one song that I thought was a bit meh. It's towards the end of the track. It's called The Lover. I don't know, it just didn't really strike a chord with me. But other than that, I thought it was really good. Even a hymn, which is is a kind of a move away from their traditional sound, but at the same time Ultra Mono does keep very in line with the sound that they've already, what's the word I'm looking for, the sound that they've already cultivated and looked after and grown. It stays there in Ultra Mono, and for some bands that would be a bad thing, staying still, like Catfish and the Bottlemen, who literally all their songs start to sound the same by their third album, in my opinion. These tracks just maintain the character and the vibe that Idols have been going with from the very start, and I think that's really good. They even do move away a little bit. Obviously, tracks like A Hymn. There's also, I thought, Kill Them With Kindness as well. It's kind of a strutting, kind of almost funky rock track. I've written here like Raw Blood, but with a craft IPA. Oh, look at this lovely selection of IPA, well, and lager. So, I feel like the album could have seen a greater amount of variation. Maybe it has stayed a little bit too still from the last album, Joy as an Act of Resistance, and maybe that's also judged by my opinion of Fontaine's DC, who are of course very similar to Idols. But yeah, it's worth thinking about how they'll return for their fourth album. Hopefully with the same poeticness that this album has, if that's even a word, and hopefully with as much raucous energy, because that's exactly what Idols is all about, and also just lyrically clever, which is kind of poetic as well, but like they get a message into their songs, and it's good to see that some punk bands are still doing that. In summary, I'm giving it a solid 9. Joy as an Act of Resistance for me is a 10 out of 10 album. Ultra Mono comes close, but maybe not close enough. I feel like it's a hard act to follow. It's a 9 out of 10 album, and that's the rating I'm going to give it. If you liked this video and you agree with what I've said, please drop the video a like, and maybe subscribe if you are new to the channel as well. If you disagree, don't drop a dislike, because we don't like that at all. Go onto the comment section, let me know what you think. I want to know whether you guys thought it was better than I said it was. Maybe you think it's the best album Idols have ever released, or you might completely disagree and think that this album was trash, and in which case I will engage with you in a chivalrous manner in the comments section. But this is just my opinion. You might have your own, and that is totally fine. Here are some more videos for you to go and watch. Go and watch the Fontaine's DC one if you enjoyed this, because that's a great video. Or just any other video. Spend the evening watching my videos. Do it. I dare you. Go on. Alright, that's enough.